mind if I keep my bike in here today? It's too big for me to get it up the stairs into my office.
Oh, that's fine. Hey, Kurt, I like your wheels.
What is this, Kurt? Besides ridiculous.
This isn't ridiculous. I'm making a statement. I am the wheeled crusader.
Of course.
A rebellion against the internal combustion engine.
Yes. It's sort of a hunger strike. See, until the city comes up with a workable mass transit plan, I am not going to set foot in my car again.
I am touched.
He is touched.
Well, at least I'm doing something about it. I bet you haven't even read about the hearings in the newspaper.
Your Saturday hearings, no doubt.
Oh, that's right. The public hearings start next week.
Yeah. The Mass Transit Committee has to choose one of three basic plans. Either more freeways, a subway system, or a monorail system.
What? No bike trails?
Listen, Norm, I am just too busy today to have time for your jokes. If you want to talk seriously about this, you let me know and I'll give you a call, huh? Don't go away without me.
Oh, who is that strange man doing wheelies down the hall?
Jenny, let's get back to the script, okay?
Oh, do we have to? It's Friday. Maybe I'll have an inspiration over the weekend.
Look, you asked for my help. I'm ready to give it if you're ready to work. Otherwise, I have my own work to do.
Okay. Here's the deal. I'm supposed to put together the program on writing the research paper, and I've got to get it done before Gwen gets back from New York.
That's sort of a follow-up to the library program?
Yeah. Okay. Let's begin by reviewing that program.
Okay.
The focus of the program was effective library research. I took a topic, unsolved murders, and followed the research process from beginning to end.
You demonstrated 4 basic guidelines for developing a search strategy, working from general references to specific ones.
Thoroughly documenting my progress, making sure I took my time and didn't rush the process, and using the librarian as a resource.
So what's the problem?
The problem is how to begin this program. I mean, Gwen left some notes, but I don't know.
Jenny, sometimes you have to take the bull by the horn and strike out on your own.
Yeah, but Gwen always approves our ideas.
Look, when Gwen's gone, I'm sort of in charge. I'll back you up. This program should explain what to do with all that information once you get it. In other words, how to produce the paper.
Right. Okay. If you're going to write a good research paper, there are certain things you're going to have to do. And I think the program should not only tell the student what to do, but why they should do things in a certain way.
Well, we know the reasons go deeper than just making a grade, or at least they ought to.
Oh, sure. It's a part of the whole learning process, taking all this information from different sources and synthesizing it in your own mind.
Why don't you start there? Do we have any interview material?
Well, yes. Gwen left these tapes with her notes. Let's take a look.
Some people call a research paper a cut and paste job. Take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, you just got to tape and put it together. I can only tell you as a writer and as a learner, I have learned a great deal from writing research papers over the years. The reason I think I've learned a great deal is that one rule always existed when I wrote them, and that was you can't use the language, the actual words of the person you're reading to use in your paper. You have to paraphrase it. And one of the things that writing helps with it is it helps people learn to master information. They learn to learn. They learn to know. They write to know. And by having to rephrase someone's words, synthesize, pull in from different people, different opinions, and put it down on the piece of paper, it isn't terribly original in terms of going off and discovering something new and unusual, but it brings together information. It solidifies the information.
I love the idea of mastering information.
I wrote in
I mean, that's essentially what writing a research paper teaches us to do.
I'm not sure I'd agree that the result isn't original. It can be.
It even should be. I mean, you take all this information and all these opinions from different sources, and what emerges is a whole new idea.
Okay, so why don't you start the program with the interview material, and then using the unsolved murder research materials you got at the library, show the student how to develop the paper.
The unsolved murder topic was great for the library program because there we were just dealing with library sources, but this is a much broader program.
And most projects deal with more than just sources found in the library.
Oh, sure. Interviews, personal observation, correspondence with experts.
So, do some interviews.
Norman, how can I do interviews on unsolved murders? Most of the people involved are either dead or hiding out somewhere.
How about the police or private eye?
I don't know. For this program, I want a different topic. I want a topic that has more real-life consequences, something more immediate.
Some contemporary issue.
Yeah. Here, let's take a look at this and see if it's relevant.
So one of the things that I've really discovered really works very well is ask students to investigate something like a local institution, just a local institution. Let them define what institution is. Then ask them to do a real job of reporting, maybe like what 60 Minutes would do. Ask them to go visit the place. Ask them to sit and watch what happens. Ask them to interview people who work at this place. Ask them to interview customers who use this place. Ask them to do some library research about it. Take some photographs of it. Ask them, in other words, to go do a real active investigation and generate a paper which is not predictable. It's a real active investigation. So students go and take notes, study, measure, do whatever they need to do. That's a real assignment. I mean, it's something
That must be
not
it.
just in the realm of it.
Norm, you and I know that writing a research paper can be a really exciting thing to do. But it's even more exciting if it counts for something, if it has some meaning in the real world.
Now you sound like the wheeled crusader.
Kurt, that's it, Norm. You've got it. A research paper on the mass transit issue. It would be perfect for our program.
You're really angry about this, aren't you?
Yeah. I don't want to spend half my life in a traffic jam.
Well, I don't understand why they don't do something about it.
That's because nobody can agree about what ought to be done. The subject of mass transportation is weighted down by mass confusion.
What do you think should be done?
Well, Jenny, I don't really know. I mean, I've done a mountain of research on the subject, but it has no direction. I've tried to cut through it, get to the heart of the matter, understand the problem so I could come to some solutions in my own mind.
Why don't you try writing something about it?
Yeah, sort of a report, huh? Hey, I am going to write a citizen's report to the Mass Transportation Committee. It'll be dynamite.
Oh, Kurt, I really admire your enthusiasm, but...
What?
Well, writing a report or a research paper can be a tough assignment.
Well, not for a born salesman like me.
Oh. Well, how would you start?
Well, I've already started. Look, I've already got a file of newspaper clippings that's a mile long.
Well, what about the library?
Well, I've already been there. Of course, I would like to hear the city council debate the subject, see what they think.
Hey, great idea.
And the guy that lives next door to me is a city engineer, so I could interview him.
Hey, perfect. You've got some great sources. The problem is, though, what do you do with all that information once you've got it?
Well, that's no problem for me.
Want to bet?
Well, you betcha I want to bet. Hey, you know, I'm a concerned citizen. I'm an adult, and I'm enthusiastic. You don't have to have a fancy degree like you or Norm just to write a good report. What do you want to bet?
Your bike?
My bike? I need my bike. I'm the wheeled crusader.
Well, then you won't have any problems, will you?
Well, no, of course not. Hey, you want to ride?
No, I think I'll make a statement. I'll walk.
Oh, hi,
Good morning. Well, I see Kurt's hunger strike is over.
Oh, he just hasn't come in yet. He must be really worked up about this mass transit thing. I bet he worked on his paper all weekend.
How did you get Kurt to write a paper?
Well, it was his idea, really. I just sort of gave him a little nudge.
How do you think he'll do?
Well, if he's anything like the students in Gwen's research, he'll have problems in 4 major areas. The idea of synthesis, the problem of plagiarism, taking notes, and proper documentation. In fact, in her notes, Gwen suggested that we build the entire program around those 4 areas.
Isn't synthesis something that goes on in your head? It should be difficult to
Well,
demonstrate.
you're right, but we've got to try. It's the very heart of the whole process.
Norm?
Making sense out of the ideas of other people. Sorting through and sifting out what's important and what's not. And then making some kind of connection. Putting the ideas together in a new relationship.
But as Cassie said, demonstrating the idea of synthesis for the program is going to be a pretty tall order.
Jenny, as you will recall, in Gwen's absence, I did agree to assume some degree of responsibility.
Born to lead.
And as a born leader, I have anticipated the synthesis problem, and I have also come up with a remarkably ingenious solution.
An example of synthesis?
Exactly. This is an exercise in synthesis suggested to me by Crazy Horse.
One of the guys who beat Custer?
Crazy Horse.
Give me a chance. I did a lot of research on Crazy Horse.
Why Crazy Horse?
Oh, Crazy Horse is a fascinating man. Some incredible stuff once I got into it.
Anything about the name attract you?
Do you want to hear the idea or not?
I can't wait.
Okay. Now, I've gathered a lot of information, and you have 5 facts distilled from my research. Okay? Read the facts.
Crazy Horse was small in stature.
Crazy Horse was a master strategist.
Crazy Horse was a mystic.
Crazy Horse won victories against great odds.
Crazy Horse believed he was invisible to his enemies.
Okay, now these are all established facts. Nothing new to anyone who knows about him. Now, if we were to write a 1-paragraph research paper on these 5 unrelated facts, what would we do?
Synthesize.
Try to find the connections.
Right. You study the facts until you find some logical new relationship, and then you put that new relationship in your own words.
And I have a feeling that you've got that new relationship all worked out.
Right again, I do. Well, this is great.
All right, then synthesize away.
Remember the facts. Okay, how about this? The victories of Crazy Horse were not due to his physical prowess as a warrior. Rather, the mystic notion that he was invisible to his enemies created an illusion of invincibility. Believing the illusion, Crazy Horse and his warriors were free of the greatest deterrent to strategic military success. The victories of Crazy Horse were largely due to the simple absence of fear. How about that? All 5 facts are there, but they've been connected in a new and original way.
We have got to put that in the program. Norm, you are a genius.
I know.
I like the way you've narrowed the topic.
Mass transit is fairly massive.
Well, there's so much information. I finally decided to focus in on the issues that relate to this city.
Well, you seem to organize your material pretty well.
Yeah, I broke it down according to needs, options and costs, technical problems, case histories of other cities our size, and then, of course, my own best judgment on what the city should do.
Well, I love this part. It really cuts to the heart of the issue. Listen, by allowing mass transportation to deteriorate and by building expressways out of the city and parking garages within, our highway engineers and city planners have helped destroy the living tissue of the city.
Strong, but I'm not sure I'd agree.
But that's good writing, Kurt. I'm really impressed.
Well, the words aren't exactly mine. I got it out of a book called The City in History.
By Lewis Mumford.
You know the book?
But you didn't even mention his name. That's plagiarism, Kurt.
Come on, this is just a little research report. Nobody's going to publish it.
That's not the point. It's just not done. The word plagiarism comes from the verb to plunder.
It's just one of the rules of the game, Kurt. It's a matter of intellectual integrity.
Well, Kurt didn't mean to cheat.
Cheat? No, I didn't know. Look, I'll apologize to Mr. Mumford.
Better yet, why don't you paraphrase?
I tried that. It just wasn't as effective.
Oh, come on, Kurt. Read us what you got.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Okay. By allowing mass transit to dwindle and by constructing highways out of town and building parking structures within, the powers that be have helped destroy the heart of the city.
Well, it says the same thing, just different words.
Yeah, but you're still plundering Mumford's basic idea, and that's still plagiarism.
You know, a lot of students make the same mistake, Kurt. You can't substitute key words with synonyms and claim ownership to an idea.
Hey, wait a second. I put aside a tape for the program that's relevant here. It's on Gwen's desk. Cassie, would you please get it?
Yeah. Come on, Jenny. I'm not one of your students. I am the Wheeled Crusader.
Come on, Kurt. It won't take long.
All right.
The notion in a research paper is not for the student to improve on the language, but rather to see if the student can pull the information from that language, pull the information from another piece of information, from another piece of language, and put it together in the student's own language. It's not a contest to see who writes better. And this is the reason that sometimes people are just so tempted to copy it out word for word, not because they want to steal anything, but because they think that it's better than what they would ever do. So that is one misconception. The purpose of a research paper is for a student to be able to rewrite in his or her own words the information and to show both herself, as well as the teacher, that this information has been mastered. So that's the first.
See, Kurt, a paper ought to be your own version of what you've learned from your sources.
Mm-hmm. And do you agree with that statement you used from Lewis Mumford? I mean, it's kind of tough on the city planners.
Well, I still think it's a valid statement. In general, anyway. It may not apply in this specific case.
As you've used it now, even with paraphrasing, it's stated as your own opinion. You know, the whole passage might be more effective if you present it as Mumford's opinion.
Yeah, coming from him, it might have more authority. You could paraphrase and then quote a particularly powerful statement. Let me give it a go. Something like this. By placing emphasis on expressways to and from the city center, we have encouraged the use of the private automobile at the expense of mass transit. According to Lewis Mumford, this situation has helped destroy the living tissue of the city.
Mm-hmm. Then the quotation can be footnoted with a particular page reference to the city and history.
Mm-hmm. You give credit where credit is due, and you make a distinction between your opinion and that of your sources.
Yeah, but I don't see how you can keep from plagiarizing.
The best way to avoid plagiarism is to take proper notes in the first place.
Oh, boy. More rules.
Afraid so, Kurt. There are basically 3 kinds of information you should include in your notes.
Well, obviously, the quotation is one.
Right. If you see a passage that you think would make a good quotation, write it out clearly in your notes, putting it in quotation marks, and make sure your notes show who said it and where.
Mm-hmm. Another type of note-taking is simply recording facts and information you don't have to quote exactly. 50,000 people are killed on the freeways each year.
Then a third kind of note-taking is summarizing a particular resource, like Mumford's The City and History.
Oh, yeah, the chapter on mass transit.
So there are 3 kinds of notes. Quotations, recorded facts, and summarizing.
Right. And it's important that your notes separate your opinions from the opinions of others. You know, sometimes when I'm writing down quotations, I write them down in a different color ink just to keep them apart.
Now you tell me all this stuff.
Oh, Kurt. We wanted to help you because we know how important this mass transit business is to you. But your mistakes help to show us what we need to stress in our program.
Like plagiarism.
Mm-hmm. Look at it this way, Kurt. A life spent in making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent in doing nothing.
That's very well said, Norm.
It seems to me that George Bernard Shaw said that too.
Amazing coincidence.
There's just one more little thing.
Well, what's that, Jenny?
Well, do you remember our little bet?
Jenny, you wouldn't take my bicycle, would you?
Well, a bet is a bet.
Oh, but Jenny, they were such little mistakes, and I feel remorse.
Well, all right, I'll give you one more chance. If you can rewrite your paper correctly, you may keep your bike.
Oh, I'll never forget this, Jenny. You're a fine human being.
Yeah, it was a great time. Good morning, Norm.
Good morning, Norman. It is an absolute pleasure to contemplate yet another day of your counsel and friendship and, may I say, leadership.
It was so peaceful and quiet here 10 seconds ago. Okay, I give up. Why so bubbly? It's not even day yet.
The program, Norman, the program on writing the research paper, it is coming along beautifully.
Again, it was a great idea to use Kurt's writing as an example. Coffee, Jenny? More, Norm?
Okay, let's go over what we've got. First, we have the interview tapes.
Why the research paper is so important in the first place.
And then you demonstrate the concept of synthesis, thanks to my crazy horse piece.
And then using Kurt's paper, we demonstrate some common problems.
Plagiarism and how to avoid it by proper note-taking. And you touch on documentation. Yuck.
What do you mean, yuck?
It's so confusing. footnotes and all that stuff. Besides, don't Gwen's notes say that each teacher has a different type of system?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've thought about it. I don't think the program can teach specific methods of footnoting and documentation. Every academic subject has its own system.
And the instructors will teach the system they like best.
I think the key is consistency. Whatever system your instructor wants you to use, get a style book and stick to it.
But it's important that our program demonstrate what to document and why.
Okay. There are 4 major kinds of research material that must be documented.
Direct quotations, like Kurt's Mumford quotation about city planners and cities.
Paraphrased opinion of others, like Kurt's interview with the city engineer.
Then there's surprising or unexpected facts. If it's something that people might not believe, then documentation helps lend credibility.
This transcript of a city council meeting includes a prediction by some that freeways could be obsolete by the time they're completed.
That's a good example.
Okay, and there's one more. Experiments done by others, like Kurt's reference to the Disneyland monorail study.
Jenny, don't we have an interview bite on documentation?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I've been considering one that Gwen left for the notes.
Don't get scared about what's very natural to get scared about, and that's footnotes and all of the special indentations and little numbers and things at the bottom of the page. Those are the niceties of a research paper. They can be mastered, just the way one learns to have neat handwriting or one learns to spell the words correctly. But lots and lots of students think, wow, it's research, it's going to be terrible. But there's that word, research, searching again. And everyone has to relearn and research something. And afterwards, person can put in the footnotes and learn all of those special things that have to be done.
You know, footnotes are just common sense. It tells the readers who said what and where. If they want to find more information on the subject, they'll know where to look.
I've been working on a skit for the program. You want to give it a try?
I'm game.
Okay. Norm, you and Cassie pretend that you're news reporters. I'm a senator who's an expert on mass transportation. You got the idea?
Got it.
Right.
Okay, now, at the beginning of the skit, I am just finishing my prepared remarks. Then after I'm finished, I'll open up the floor for questions. You got it?
Got it.
Right.
Okay, here goes. Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing.
We can hear you, Senator.
Yeah, we hear you.
And in conclusion, I think you will agree that a fleet of city-owned and operated dirigibles will serve our mass transit needs not only today, but well into the next century. The evidence is irrefutable. The technology is obviously superior to any other. The system is environmentally benign, and experts agree that the construction of 17 new dirigibles will provide wonderful benefits to our economy and create jobs for many who are now on the welfare rolls. Now, are there any questions?
Yes, Senator.
Senator.
Yes, thank you, Senator. You mentioned the evidence for the superiority of this system to be irrefutable.
Yes.
Would you cite some of this evidence for us, please?
Oh, yes. I have researched this project for years. I have really studied the facts, and I know my dirigibles. Yes.
Senator,
Yes.
Senator, this is a rather unconventional plan. Who are the experts that advise you?
Oh, yes. Many, many knowledgeable and thoughtful people. I was amazed at how much expert advice there really was.
Excuse me, ma'am. On the economic benefits, where can we get more detail?
Detail, yes, certainly. There is a great deal of detail, and I only hope every citizen will research it as carefully as I have.
Senator,
Yes.
is it true this whole concept is fueled by hot air? And will it work, Senator?
Oh, of course it will work. I have built my reputation on hot air. Well, anyway, that's the point about documentation. I mean, maybe the senator did have a good idea, and maybe it was backed up by evidence, and maybe she was advised by experts.
Maybe. But who's going to take the points seriously if the senator can't back them up?
Exactly. Poor documentation is simply a form of evasion. I mean, supposing you really wanted to know more about the subject.
And that's what footnoting and documentation are all about. It lends credibility.
It's like leaving road signs for the reader. It points the way to further information.
The skit makes a good point.
Oh. I think it's fine, Kurt. The bike is yours. I rescind any claim.
Thanks, Jenny. What about you, Norm?
Good job, Kurt. You really did come on strong for a monorail system.
Well, it seems like the only logical way to go. That's what all the information points to.
Yeah, your paper makes a good case for the monorail system. What do you think, Cassie?
Well, good synthesis of ideas, well documented in his own words. I might need just a little revision.
Revision? The Wheeled Crusader doesn't make revisions. That
sure?
says exactly what I wanted it to say. I wouldn't change a syllable.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
I don't know, Kurt. Even the best writers revise their research papers, usually several times.
Well, not this one.
Kurt, do you live on Wallace Avenue,
Yeah,
2100 block?
that's right.
Well, according to your city engineer source here and his proposed routing, looks like you're going to have a new monorail system right through your living room. Want to take a look?
Well, the Wheeled Crusader might make a little exception in this case. You know, one small revision for the sake of house and home.
And bicycle.
Major funding for this program was provided by the Annenberg CPB project.
For information on this program and others in the Annenberg CPB collection, call 1-800